Lytudiep. Hello dear friends. Have you ever witnessed a love story full of hardships, where affection and sacrifice intertwine in every moment? Today let me explore the journey of James and Deep, two brave souls facing challenges to protect their true love. Are you curious about what James did to deal with John, the dangerous enemy always lurking? Will the pressure from work and difficulties cause him to fall? How will Deep react when she sees the one she loves weakened and hospitalized? Is their love strong enough to overcome all storms? Ultimately, can James protect Deep from harm and keep her safe for life? Their story is a testament to the power of love and perseverance. Every step James and Deep take is filled with genuine emotions and unshakable determination. If you love romantic stories full of emotion and drama like this, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss any episodes. Let's follow and support this meaningful journey together. That night, the sky was gloomy, as if trying to cover all the light, just like the difficult days Deep had just endured. Her heart still raced every time she recalled the terrifying moment when John kidnapped her, the hurried footsteps, the cold eyes of the enemy, all felt like an unerasable nightmare. But now, standing outside the hospital receiving the first sunlight after so many dark days, Deep felt reborn. James appeared beside her suddenly but warmly. He was not only the one who saved her from dangerous hands but also the only person who made her feel safe. His hair was tousled from rushing, his eyes shone with determination as he looked at Deep with all sincerity and gentleness. "Are you all right?" he asked in a deep, warm voice, as if wanting to chase away all her fears. Deep nodded slightly, but her voice still trembled. I don't know what to say. If it weren't for you, maybe I wouldn't be here. She lowered her head, tears rolling down her cheeks, not from pain but from deep gratitude mixed with a hint of shyness before the man she loved. James gently took her small hand. A light touch enough to convey steadiness and peace. "I'll never let that happen again. I promise." Those words were not just empty promises but vows, a flame warming her heart after the cold months together. They stepped out of the hospital, their footsteps light on the quiet street. The chilly morning air mixed with their gentle breaths created a silent symphony full of meaning. James looked at her as if wanting to etch this moment into his memory. Deep, the brave girl who had endured so much pain but still stood strong. On the way home, Deep shared her mixed emotions, the sleepless nights haunted by memories, the moments when she felt she could not get up. James listened quietly, occasionally placing a hand on her shoulder as if transferring strength to her. "We will get through this together. You're not alone." His warm voice was like a lullaby, helping Deep feel rare safety. Arriving home, a cozy atmosphere enveloped them. But Deep still had unanswered questions in her heart. She looked at James, who carefully tended to her, from preparing medicine to small caring gestures. Every action ignited hope in her heart, soothing her fears and loneliness. James sat beside her bed, eyes never leaving her for a second. "I know the coming days will be hard. John is still out there, and I won't let him hurt you again." His words were not just determination but a commitment, a promise for their future. Deep felt the sincere affection from him, a love not only passionate but also strong like a fortress protecting her from every storm. She held James's hand tightly, her heart filled with gratitude and love. "I trust you, James. I won't be afraid anymore because you're here." In that moment, the two seemed to become one, their hearts beating in sync with deep empathy and understanding. The dark days and fears that once seemed insurmountable now faded beside the light of love and hope. Outside the window, the first rays of dawn began to peek through the leaves, shining on their young faces. It was a new beginning, a promise for a better future where James and Deep would write their love story with courage and sincerity, standing strong together against every storm. After the terrifying ordeal, James and Deep's life was no longer peaceful. John, their relentless enemy, remained a haunting shadow, a constant reminder that danger was far from over. James knew this all too well. He was determined to find a way to confront John to protect Deep and his family. But the more he tried, the heavier the pressure became, like an invisible mountain pressing down on every breath he took. James threw himself into work day and night, allowing no moment of rest. Every document, every phone call, every meeting carried the burden of responsibility and fear. He was like a lone warrior bracing himself through the storm. Yet his body could not endure forever. Severe headaches, restless nights, and endless fatigue eventually led to his physical collapse. When Deep heard the news, her heart shattered into pieces. She rushed to the hospital, her eyes filled with worry as she looked at the man she loved lying frail and weaker than ever. James's mother came too, unable to hide her concern but trying to stay strong to comfort her daughter-in-law. Day by day, Deep and James's mother took turns caring for him, feeding him, ensuring he rested, tending to every small detail. Deep had faced many hardships before, but seeing James so vulnerable brought tears to her eyes. She understood that behind his strong, resilient facade was a soul in need of love and care. James looked at Deep every day and felt her sincere heart. The worried glances, the gentle hands that never stopped caring, stirred his heart deeply. He felt lucky to have her by his side, not just as a lover but as his strongest pillar. One afternoon, as the sunset bathed the hospital room in red light, James took Deep's hand. His voice was soft but warm. "Thank you for not leaving me. I don't know what I'd do without you." His eyes shone with undeniable sincerity. Deep smiled, tears streaming again. "Don't say that. I'll always be here for you, no matter what. You are my whole world." Her words were like a magic spell that chased away his weariness and sparked new hope. From that time on, their love was no longer just passion but deep understanding and sharing. Deep was not only his lover but also a steadfast companion, a silent warrior helping James overcome difficulties. And though weak, James devoted all his mind to protecting her, keeping her safe from John's harm. During the time she cared for James, Deep saw the hidden corners of his soul, worries and pressure he had never revealed. She wanted to be more than just his lover. She wanted to be his friend and refuge. Someone he could lean on when exhausted. One quiet evening, sitting by his bed, Deep gently asked, "Do you want to tell me what's weighing on your heart? I'll listen, and we'll find a way through it together." Her gentle, sincere voice was like medicine healing all his wounds. He looked at her, eyes full of trust, then sighed deeply. "John isn't just my enemy. He's your greatest nightmare too. I'm afraid one day he won't just kidnap you but hurt you." His words choked with emotion, like a storm bursting inside. Deep squeezed his hand tightly, lips pressed firm. "You're not alone. I'll face it with you. No matter how hard it gets. You have to live, for me, for us." Her determination made James feel stronger than ever. In the days that followed, though still recovering, James always made time to plan against John. Deep was always by his side, caring, supporting, and encouraging him. They understood that love was not just sweet words but strength to overcome all challenges and protect each other from danger. Their love during these days was not just a romance but a journey of fighting and growing together. In their hearts, the flame of love burned brighter and brighter, turning hardships into strength to move forward. The day James was discharged from the hospital, the atmosphere in their small home felt warmer than ever. Morning sunlight streamed gently through the window, casting a soft glow on his gaunt but determined face. Though his body was still weak and his steps tentative, James's eyes burned with an unshakable fire of determination. Every time he looked at Deep, his heart surged with a powerful belief that he had to be stronger, for her, for the future they would build together. Deep stood beside him, hand in hand, her heart filled with faith and love. She looked at him with admiration and knew that no matter the hardships ahead, he was ready to face and overcome them. Her presence gave him strength, infusing him with boundless energy. James squeezed Deep's hand tightly. His voice was passionate and resolute. "My love, I've thought a lot these past days. I can't let John continue to threaten our lives, to spread fear in your heart and our families. I will find a way to defeat him, even if it means sacrificing everything. I swear to protect you with my whole life." His words rang out like a solemn vow, an unbreakable promise to the woman he loved more than himself. Deep looked straight into James's eyes, feeling the power and sincerity in every word. She understood that love was not just sweet moments but a relentless fight, silent sacrifice, and a steadfast heart to protect one another through every storm. "You're not alone. I'll always be by your side, walking with you through every difficulty and challenge ahead," she replied softly, her voice full of trust and determination. Time passed, and James began carefully planning how to confront John. He used every resource at his disposal, from friends and colleagues to underground contacts, to gather information and build detailed strategies. Deep was always by his side, not just as a partner but as the strongest motivation that kept him from giving up. Whenever James felt tired, just seeing Deep's smile and hopeful eyes gave him the strength to stand up and keep fighting. On long sleepless nights, James would hold Deep, his voice weak but sincere. "You are my strength. Without you, I couldn't have come this far." Deep smiled, gently stroking his hair, feeling their hearts beat as one, overflowing with love and trust. James was fighting not only outside but also within himself, against physical pain and emotional wounds yet to heal. But he wouldn't allow himself to fall, for beside him was Deep, the woman he wanted to protect for life. She was his faith, his hope, his motivation to push beyond all limits. One day, during an unexpected confrontation, James faced John, the enemy who had turned their lives upside down. But this time, James was no longer the weak, fearful man he once was. His eyes were fierce, burning with determination that even made John wary. "He will never touch Deep again," James thought, his heart blazing like fire in the dark. Deep stood beside him, unafraid, ready to face any danger together. She knew that no matter what the future held, as long as they were together, nothing was impossible. Their love had become a strong wall, an invisible yet unshakable power protecting them from every storm. That night, as the city lights dimmed, James held Deep tightly in his warm arms and whispered, "I am willing to sacrifice everything so you can live in peace. This life. I only want to be your protector." Deep nodded, tears of happiness streaming down her cheeks. "Me too. We will walk to the end of the road." Thank you for following the story. Let's watch the next episode to see what will happen to them.